Hi, I'm Femi OK and you're in the stream. Today, selfies or selfless? Can international volunteer tourism be a force for sustainable good? Our international community are so ready for this conversation. How ready? Malika Bilal, our digital producer, knows all about that. What are you seeing?
Well, it's that selfies versus selfless that got people talking, of course.
Of course it did.
Of course it did, right, exactly. So we have people who say that these volunteer trips abroad are sometimes only about the photo op. That's a view from Costa Rica. This is Alex Rea, who says they want the next Facebook profile picture, but others in our community say it could be life-changing. This is Dr. Jenny, and she's tweeting from Ghana and says it was a great thing for her. So we want your take on this, whether or not you've been on a trip or live in a country where people come to visit your country. Tweet us, #AJStream.
Joining us right here in our studio, we have Tyler Andrews. He's the director of Strive Trips. That's an international volunteer group for young athletes. Tyler, it's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to be picking your brain, getting more from you in
Excited.
just a moment. But not quite yet. Sit tight. You'll hear more from our guests in just a minute. Now, more community voices make our show more compelling. How can you help us out? Well, hop onto Google+, add us to your circles and let us know what stories that you're following, and maybe it'll be one of these. Voluntourism, it's short for volunteer tourism, a multi-billion-dollar industry built of people willing to pay for a life-changing experience, helping a community in need. Now, more than 1 million volunteer tourists head to Asia, Africa and Latin America every year, and they play with children, they teach English, build homes and schools. But are they serving their host communities as much as themselves? To help us talk about this, in Oxford, in the UK, Daniela Poppy Thornton is founder of Learning Service. In Los Angeles, Rachel Scott is a student at the University of Southern California. And in Harbin, China, Yingting Lily Kang is a student with the University of Notre Dame. So it's good to have you all here, everybody. Just to get you in the mood, I want to show you a video that was created by 2 Canadian students. They have a campaign on called End Humanitarian Douchery. What could they possibly mean by that? Have a look at the video.
Hi, I'm just calling. I'm looking for some more information on helping or aiding the local youths of North America. I really heard that obesity was this huge problem over there, so I'm thinking about like teaching them Zumba for a couple weeks. You know, like really make a difference. Oh, CrossFit. Yeah, maybe I'll teach them CrossFit. $5,000? Yeah, I've got $5,000. Lemonade! I only need $5,000 to fix America. Anything to aid the youths of North America. It's just $5,000 for a 2-week trip, but the change is priceless. It's just like, you know, be the change. You know who said that? Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah, knowledge bomb. Look at all the local children just playing around. Hi, children. Lemonade? Oh, come on, you too good for the first world? Be the change, brah. Gandhi said that. Come on, gather around. It's time for a selfie. Like, I even got on this optional excursion that's going to like let me go into Walmarts and like I'm actually going to interact with real North Americans. Yeah, it's so sick, buds. Excuse me, can you take a photo of me with these local youths?
Sorry, what are you doing here?
I'm building a school. Duh. Come on, the youths of North America need our help. Such a good person.
I have laughed until I cried at that video. I actually, in an editorial meeting today, I had tears in my eyes just reenacting bits of that video. All right, Daniela, don't hit me. Does any of that resonate with you? Could you have been that person?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay. The
sure.
truth is out there. What is it? What is it that resonates
For
right
sure.
there?
It is exactly what we say and do. It just, in a different context. And it's the part that is funny and scary is how, horrible we think it sounds when you're talking about, oh, North Americans, why would they need our help? Why would, why is this man thinking he's going to help the youths, but we do that exact same thing. And I've done that exact same thing. Yeah.
All right. Tyler, you were laughing as well. You were giggling as you were watching it. Why were you laughing? Because you have a group that takes young athletes and you take them to really exciting parts of the world. They go to Kenya. They can go to Peru. So what made you laugh about this? Is this not you?
So the part that made me laugh about that is that nobody wants to end humanitarian douchery more than me.
Right.
Because, like Daniela said, a lot of people do have these exact same feelings, and a lot of programs kind of prey upon those feelings of insecurity and kind of well-intentioned but poorly executed. And for me, I think as a program director, it's really important to differentiate the programs that are reinforcing that idea of the going and saving someone and doing it for yourself instead of the community versus a program where it is more of a community initiative. And so while there's a lot of that rings true, I think that for me, a lot of what's really important is differentiating what can we do well as a program versus what's done poorly.
Right. Malika.
So of course, then that begs the question, why do people go abroad to volunteer? And we got some varying views. I want to share one of them. This, of course, is timely. This is from Zreya. She's tweeting us from Nepal. And she says Nepal has been suffering one massive quake after another, as many of us following the news know. She says foreign volunteers are not a matter of want, but a matter of necessity, saying that they are needed in Nepal. And this is Dr. Jenny, who I read a little bit earlier in the show. She followed up with this tweet to say, for her, she decided to go abroad because of the desire to help others, coupled with what she called an exotic adventure. So Rachel, you hear her reasonings. What was your reason, your motivation to go abroad?
Yeah, when I went to Thailand in December, it was my first time abroad. It was my first time out of the country. And I think what I was looking for was a way to, help others and see a different part of the world. And it was exciting and it was really cool. My school has an alternative winter break program. So for 3 weeks, we spent almost 3 weeks in Thailand. I missed Christmas. I missed New Year's with my family. But it was an awesome experience. It was great to get out of my comfort zone. And we worked with local refugees from Burma and their children when we helped teach English at a school and help rebuild a school. And so it was an awesome way to just really volunteer for, almost 3 weeks of my time.
We're showing some pictures of your trip. I've got one here as well that you actually shared with the Huffington Post because you said, don't just go abroad, volunteer. So when you were getting out of your comfort zone, can you tell us what your comfort zone was and how you were yanked out of it?
Yeah, I think, that was my first trip abroad. So I had no idea.
You had no clue what was going to happen.
Look like.
Right.
Yeah, I was expecting, I had no idea what to expect, period. And I think I had no idea any of the other people that I was going on the trip with. I didn't know anyone at all. We had group meetups where we kind of got to know each other and, learned about the Thai culture before we went and what to expect. But I had no idea who any of the people were. I was leaving my family during, Christmas and New Year's, which is, a very crucial time for my
Rachel,
family
how
to
can
get
somebody
together
who's
and spend time
obviously
together.
a bright young person like yourself help anybody else? You've got no idea what was about to happen to you, what it was like to live in Thailand. How can you think that you could help?
I think that for me, it was just any way that I could give my resources. So a lot of it maybe wasn't even teaching English. We helped rebuild a school. A lot of it was physical work. We rebuilt a wall. We built them a fountain. We worked with construction workers to help paint their school, to give them, maybe materials and things that they didn't have. So even a lot of the stuff that we were doing wasn't so much teaching the kids English as it was, doing a lot of the physical labor as well that the school needed and help rebuild. So I think in any way that you can offer up your services, any type of skills that you have, and maybe that's just physical labor, sometimes that's what's best.
Malika?
I hear what you say there, but I'm going to counter you with this tweet from Krista, who says that she did a similar program. She volunteered abroad, and then she came back to say there's no way any short-term volunteer experience can contribute meaningfully to any local community. But then she got pushed back. This is from Annie, who says, well, it's easy to be dismissive, but there are many short-termers who go back and who actually help their own communities or the ones that they visited. So Lily, I actually want to bring you in here for you to take us through that little debate there and whether or not short-term work can actually do any good.
Sure, for sure. My first trip, sadly, I wasn't even trying to help people. It was just me having a free week, and my friends were saying, oh, let's go to this village in China that neither of us been to, and let's go try to help people there. And what happened, sadly, was we didn't do any research on the local community, didn't know who we were helping. And by spending there 1 week, I really felt it brought more trouble to the local region than it would have been otherwise. So for example, I grew up in China where parents used to beat their children when they do something wrong. So I threatened to the children who I was teaching that if they misbehave, I would beat them. This was something that was completely wrong at the time and at the place where I was teaching. So by doing things like this, I really felt that knowing a little about the community, the culture, was very harmful. And this was short-term, fortunately. But learning from that, I really grew a lot. And I do think short-term in some ways can help if it's organized, if it's properly prepared for, and if it was something that's more of an emergency.
I think this impact on the community is really important because I'm hearing from everybody how volunteering is helping them grow as a person, particularly Rachel. Rachel hadn't been anywhere and she came back with these amazing ideas and experiences. But what about the local community? Isn't the community more important than the volunteer?
I think it is, and I think in response to that first tweet, one thing that I would say is something that I stress a lot with my students in my programs is a lot of the time you as a volunteer are part of a bigger project. So we try to do a lot of really long-term projects, and we've been working in the same community for 6 or 7 years at times, and we know the people there, they know us. So a lot of our projects come from within the community, and they're taking place over the course of many years. So while one student might only be on the ground for 3 or 4 weeks, and you could argue, oh, they're not accomplishing anything in 3 weeks. You could also say, well, they accomplished a little bit of a much bigger project. And I think that's a really important idea, is that a lot of people, when they go on these trips, they say, I'm going to save the world, I'm going to do everything in 3 weeks. No, you're not going to do that. But what you can do is you can be a really important part of the process that can produce a positive change over a long time.
What do the people you work with make of you? Do they have names for you? Do they call you the Westerners? What do they make of you?
So they call us the Runners because we're
the Runners. I knew you had a nickname.
Yeah, so we do have a nickname. It's
the
true.
Runners are back.
The Runners, yeah,
right?
No, but it's great because they've been interacting with me and my partners that are down there for a long time. So it's gotten to the point where we have relationships with people that are open, that we can say, okay, this year we have 20 kids and this much money. What kind of projects do you guys have in the school board, on the local government? What kind of work can we do? And to me, I think it's really, really important that those projects come from within the school, because it has to be about the community's values and not about my values.
Malika.
Picking up on that community aspect and what it does to them, there is a view from Aditi on Twitter who says the majority of the narrative is centered around the person's experience instead of the community's views. So she's pushing against what you were saying, Tyler. But there's also this video comment from Francois. And so Daniela, I want to play this for you and have you let us know what you think about it.
Without denying the importance of voluntarism altogether, I think the most damaging effect it has is that it turns lesser developed countries into playgrounds for experimenting teenagers most of the time, because they wouldn't be giving the same appreciation would the opportunities be in similarly developed countries. And I find it quite alarming that real opportunities for empowerment of communities are not as financed and developed as these voluntarism opportunities are.
So Daniela, kind of harsh words there. It's a playground for teenagers. Do you, looking back, do you think that's how you viewed yourself now, your younger self when you were in Cambodia?
Viewing my younger self, did I view it as a playground? I didn't view it as a playground, but was I treating it like a playground? Maybe yes. I mean, I guess you treat it like a playground if you go somewhere without investing the time and the research and the work to see how can I add value.
Daniela, is there one specific example in mind that you can share with us that shows that you saw it as a playground?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't see it as a playground. I'm saying we treat it like a playground. If we are allowing anybody to get off the plane and practice development work, which it's a real profession that people work hard and study and learn how to do, and even then it's hard, right? But what we're doing with these voluntourism trips sometimes is making them seem really easy. So I want to counter this argument that it needs to be about maximizing the positive impact for the community. Actually, I think it's about minimizing the negative impact and then figuring out how to make that person's experience translate into long-term positive impact, which sometimes means the benefit to them. Like what can I learn? How can I become of value in the future? Right? So therefore, that learning for me isn't selfish anymore. It's actually, I'm learning. I'm going to cause no harm while I'm here. And my job and responsibility is to do good with that for you and for the world in the future.
I want to show you a picture of Lily, and it's a Facebook picture here. Lily wrote a very jokingly little bit down at the bottom. I'm going to read it out to you. This is Lily Kang's Facebook page here. I worked on my tan, I fed them sausages, and I took, ready, bucket showers. It was such a once-in-a-lifetime experience. In that 1 week, I saved the world. Guess what? I got 50 likes on my Facebook picture. I felt like the coolest person ever, me. Now, I know you are being super sarcastic. Not everybody who was commenting on your page actually realized that you were being sarcastic. So,
Hopefully.
if you wanted to tell people who would love to have similar experiences as you, how would you suggest they did it better?
For sure.
What are your top tips? Don't do this, do this.
Well, I would go travel instead of trying to think I'm a volunteer and I have something to offer. I think by thinking that I'm a volunteer, I'm already in a position that's higher than them. And perhaps I assume I have better things to offer. And that is not completely true, unfortunately. So I do realize that traveling for people is an important aspect of really building empathy with those who are different than us. And this can be done either domestically or internationally. So for example, I could talk to someone who I've never interacted at school with, and I can sit down with them for dinner and understand their life story. I think that's a step for me to really understand the world, understand what humans are and where I am. And hopefully I can be of help in the future because of my better understanding.
Rachel, I'm just wondering, in terms of volunteering, and you're hearing some pushback about people who've got money and going to the other side of the world to help. May I ask you how much you spent to get to Thailand?
Yeah, the trip was, I believe, a few $1,000s. Can't remember the exact amount, but it was through my university, and right. I paid my way there as a student. I have a part-time job that I work on campus, and I helped, fund, and we did a lot of fundraising as well. And that covered not only, it was our flight, our room and board. We made a large donation to the school that we were helping, as well as that organization that we went there with, Travel to Teach. We worked with them on a lot of things. And so I don't really know too much of the cost breakdown of where everything went,
So
but it was one family.
The point is, Rachel, that I could look for similar trips online, and there are a lot. There's a whole business going on here. Does that bother you that somebody is profiting off your need to want to help other people? That they make money?
Yeah, I think you have to be very careful. I'm sure, like, with where you choose to volunteer and what organization, I think a lot of research has to go into it. Luckily for me, the program at my school has been going on for years, and they go back every single year. The organization that my school works with, Travel to Teach, is there throughout the entire year. They have volunteers that stay 2 years, 5 years, for an extended period of time, and we just go for a section every year, which they called English camp. And so every year the students look forward to this sort of English camp where we come and we help teach them English and we help rebuild the school. And so it's a yearly thing. But like I said, I think for sure you have to be careful and know, what organization you are giving your money to go and volunteer.
So Tyler, you're taking young people around the world, you're giving them an experience, and they're also working with the community, but you're also doing this for profit. You're not a non-for-profit organization. How do you actually say you're justifying that? Are you not playing off younger people's need to want to help, to be altruistic?
No, I don't think so. I think that for us, it takes work to arrange these programs. And the truth is that if like Danielle was saying, if you want the students to have kind of the long-term benefit where, it might change their life's direction, like my original volunteer trip did for me, you have to put the trips out there so that these kids can go on them. Right. And the truth is that for some of these places, it's just expensive to get to. It's expensive to have staff there. It's expensive to have supervision if you have young people. So yeah, some of these trips are expensive. I think that the most important thing that was said is, you have to know what to look for in a program. Right. So if you see,
what are the red flags?
The red flags.
I'm sure at the end of this program, people are like, yeah, I've always wanted to do that. Let's do it. We tell people what are the red flags.
Okay, so Service Learning, Danielle's organization, has a great list on there. You should go check out her website.
All right, Daniela, red flag. Give us a red flag. What's the biggest red flag?
You should walk us through these.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what Rachel said is she doesn't know where her money went, right? So ask questions. Like, number one thing is ask questions. And if they won't answer and you can't find out where the money goes, then it's probably not the right thing. A big red flag is if it says discount volunteer trip, right? I mean, this is like some sort of commoditized system, right? A big red flag is if they're sending volunteers to tons of places around the world, right? If they don't know, the relationships on the ground, that's what's going to make it work, right? So if they don't know where they're sending you, you don't really want to go there, right? I can keep going if you want.
I just wanted to... I'm actually making notes. Thanks, Daniela. We'll talk later. Yes, Lily, go ahead. Lily, go ahead.
I would say that, I wouldn't go if it's something that is advertised, say, would you like to save the world? How great would it be if you could go to Jamaica?
Lily, does anyone actually, have you ever seen that? Has anyone said, do you want to save the world? Who would write that in their advertising?
I've definitely seen that. Yes. Unfortunately, a lot of advertising. Have you dreamed of saving the world? Have you dreamed of being the change? And that's not uncommon, unfortunately. So I've definitely seen that. That to me is a huge red flag. That's just not the right mindset.
Don't go. Run. Go on, Dania.
Don't volunteer. The number one thing that and if you've read anything that I've been writing about, is watch out for orphanage volunteering. I mean, it is, you shouldn't be paying to go volunteer with kids who are already in a vulnerable situation, right? And the question that many students ask me is, okay, well, which orphanage should I go volunteer at for a week? And the answer is anyone that will take you to go volunteer for a day or a week or a few hours isn't the one you should volunteer
at. All right, take a breath, guests. I'm taking you all to the post show at stream.aljazeera.com. More conversation to be had with Tyler, Daniela, Rachel, and Lily as well. Malika, what's the community up to?
On the list of don'ts, Malolo says, first of all, discard whatever you've seen on TV and approach the place you're visiting and volunteering at with an open mind.
All right, thanks everybody for being part of this conversation. If you have questions for our guests who've travelled around the world, don't be shy. Hashtag AJStream, where put your questions to them in just a moment. See you online. Thanks for watching. Hello again, you're in the Stream's online post show. We're discussing how international volunteer tourists can be a force for sustainable good. Good to have you back so quickly. Okay, so Daniela talked about orphanages and tourism, and the community said what?
Right, well, she talked about it being a red flag, and so we have a video comment from someone who slightly agrees with you, and she says we have to think about what this does to the kids in those places. So have a listen to Alicia.
Hi, my name is Alicia, and I'd like to comment on the cost of voluntourism on the kids often involved. I was a teacher in Phnom Penh, Cambodia for 8 months, and saw dozens of volunteers come through the center. And once they left, after seeking photo ops and affection and play and disrupting the daily routine, the kids would be feeling grief, relief, and exhausted. So it was really hard to see, this community robbed of this opportunity to live a normal daily life.
So Rachel, you heard that, and you volunteered at a place with kids. What do you say when you hear criticism like this?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would never want any of the children to feel what she was describing, hurt and exhausted. That makes me sad, especially to think if any of the children that I, helped when I was there felt that way after I left. And so I think any volunteer would hate to hear that. And I think it's something that we maybe have to think about a lot more when we're thinking about doing these volunteer trips abroad, how it affects the children. But, as I was saying before, the organization that we were there with does have volunteers that stay there throughout the year. And the way that it was given to these kids was that we were there for an English camp. And so they knew that we would only be there for the camp period, which was, 2.5 weeks. And then we would be returning back home. And it's a yearly thing for them. So every year they go to the same English camp. Which is really cool.
I have to say, this is a first for me. I never thought that I would be swiping through Tinder on a live show, but here I am. Humanitarians of Tinder. Have a look here. It's really good. It's great. Okay, so this is Alex, obviously in Africa. We'll scoot down here. Here we go. This one just says done, like it was a tick. Done that. Hung out with hijabis. Malcolm, thanks for that. This is Helena. Oh, nice picture. I put that one on her Facebook page. I have no idea what's going on here. Fascinating. And then let me just do one more just because it looks beautiful. I'm wondering about whether it's great for your resume, it's great for your career. Having said that you've done all of these things, I'm wondering if it's quite as altruistic as maybe you're saying it is, and maybe it's actually making you look good. Lily, what would be your comment on that?
Not very long ago, just last week, I was overhearing someone's conversation on the phone about my school application, and this guy was suggesting his friend that if you could go abroad to serve, then don't do research. Your international service weighs more on your resume than it would weigh for you to do research for the summer. Ooh. And I hope that is not true, but unfortunately, it seems like it is the case in a lot of ways.
Wow. Tyler is grimacing, Daniela is grimacing, and Malika has something to say. Malika, you go first.
And I'll give it to you, Tyler, since you're grimacing, but it's just picking up on what she said about going abroad. This is what Nora writes in. She says, there's a big privilege in saying, here, go to this community and make mistakes at their expense. It's okay because you're learning, you're an outsider. And so Abadir picks up on that, and he says that I think that people should do volunteer work in their own country rather than taking pictures with poor people in other countries and posting them to social media. What do you make of the idea that work starts at home? It could start in your own backyard.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think that you end up asking the same questions, whether you'd be working in your own country or abroad, because the truth is, if you are going into another community that's different than yours, you're imposing your own belief structure on another community, whether that's a low-income neighborhood of the city that you're from in the United States or Europe, or you're going into a developing country. You're going to end up being an outsider there, and you have to go in and acknowledge yourself that I'm the outsider. I'm the person that's coming in here and that's different, and so I need to respect that, and this needs to be a conversation where the people that I'm trying to help are the ones that are leading that conversation, that I'm not trying to lead it.
All right, that's Tyler Andrews. We also had Daniela Poppy Thornton, Rachel Scott, and Yingding Lily Kang. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your stories, and your take on international voluntourism. I really enjoyed spending time with you. Thank you very much indeed. Until the next time, we'll see you online.